everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Couch Show. And welcome to the channel, Sibling Rivalry. We're your hosts. I'm Lynn. This is Ray.
Hey, welcome back, you beautiful people on YouTube.
What? And I don't know. There's just been so much going on in the news. We were just live like 2 days ago, and there's more to report.
Well, I mean, we're doing a day early because I'm hitting the road tomorrow. So I was like, hey, let's do a Wednesday show because I'm gonna be in DC all this weekend. Sorry, not this week, this weekend.
Nice.
For Awesome Con. So I'm excited for that.
Okay, what the heck is Awesome Con?
Awesome Con is like DC's version of Comic Con.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. You told me about this.
It's like everything's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome Con.
Pretty cool.
It's their 10-year anniversary, so I'm excited for some swag.
Ooh, yes. I love when it's like the anniversary things because everyone goes all out.
Yes, of course. 10 years, so let's get it.
Very nice. Well, not much has happened with me the last 2 days. It's been quiet. I've just been working on just projects. This weekend is my youngest, his birthday party. We're gonna have a huge beach bash. So I've just been.
I like how she downplays that, but we got the invite, and I mean it was a really cool invite. So we open it, and it's like attached to this like cardboard, and it's like inflate me, and it's a beach ball, and so you got to inflate the ball so you can actually see the details of the party. It's like, why are you downplaying that? That was a really cool idea. I've never seen that before. But she's not giving out the deets.
So some behind the scenes, I made these little buckets with a little licensed character.
It's blurred out because it's licensed. Don't strike us, Disney.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of one of my I would say it's one of my strengths to throw a really amazing party. And it's something I enjoy doing. So that's what I've been working on the past couple days.
Lynn is very artistic and creative, but she has that procrastinator gene in us. Like we both have it, and that's the reason why she's not like going anywhere because she could do it, but she won't. It's like I'm the same way. It's in our genetics. It is what it is. So what are you doing? You pulling up the article?
I am.
We'll go right into it.
Pull some stuff up here.
All right, we're going right into it. Yo, there's a lot of news going on. So as you know what month it is, right? It's June. It's in your face, and that's the thing. That's the problem. And this is what they don't understand. It's like it's in your face. You can't forget every single day. They gotta put it in your face, and it's like, why are you so aggressive with it? Mm-hmm. But it's cool. We're gonna go through some stories about how people's reaction and how they're taking it. But it's just I every single day it seems like there's another story as far as how like it's just backfiring. It's all falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a story. Starbucks, like there's like a Starbucks civil war going on right now. Mm-hmm. Apparently, management said take down the decoration. We're not trying to have any of this. We're not trying to have any of the backlash. And some people are like, no, or they're going back and forth as far as like they're saying they did it, they're not doing it. So there's videos out there of people saying like, yo, yeah, we were told to take down this decoration. Mm-hmm. So, and once again, it's sad because it's not. Once again, and I say this, and I think I'm not the only one. It's like people don't care what you are or what you want to be. It's the fact that it's so aggressive and in your face. Mm-hmm. That's the point where we gotta curb that. And if you can't understand that, then you're in a cult. I'm gonna keep saying it over and over. And then I'm gonna label it as a religion, and everybody else should label this as a religion. And let's start moving forward and treat you as a religion.
So these middle schoolers, we're going to pull up this story here about some middle schoolers who kind of took it into their own hands. And, they saw it, start of June, their school decorated and there was some backlash,
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh my God, she looks crazy. She definitely looks like she's in the cult. She looks like a cult leader.
I think this was like the I don't know if it was like a guidance counselor. This must have been like the principal of the school. But so at this middle school up in Massachusetts, a group of kids decided to go through the hallway and removed like all of the Happy Pride Month things that were up on the up in school. There was like some signs they pulled down. They were throwing all of like the they had given out stickers, like
That's one thing
rainbow
though.
stickers.
That's one thing I wouldn't agree, and I would condone.
Hmm.
Don't be destructive. You don't have to take things down.
Right.
If you want to counter their, you want to counter the argument, put things up.
Yes.
So
So
like,
originally, the protesters, the middle schoolers who were against this, they started out with chanting "USA are my pronouns." They were in the halls. They were all wearing red, white, and blue. They had like the face paint on their face. So instead of going with like the school's designated Pride Day, which was wear the rainbow colors, they went with the red, white, and blue, and they were trying to stand in solidarity and like make a statement. But it sounds like it just went a little too far. They started ripping down signs. They were throwing these rainbows around. They were being really
well, I
disruptive.
mean, if you think about it, they're like what, 11, 12, 13. So
Right.
they're tweens, right?
Hmm.
But the fact that they're this like charged to protest something is
Hmm.
amazing. And I told you this the other day. I was like, you're like, man, I feel bad for the youth. And I was like, no, because they're starting to revolt. And mind you, kids from the beginning of time, kids have always been rebellious against, the status quo, right? Like, if
Hmm.
you think about like the 70s, right? The 70s was what started all of this, right? The kids was like, oh man, we should be able to love whoever we want to love, man, right? Peace and love, right? Vietnam was going on and all that stuff, and it was like the summer of love, and they were out there, and then flower power, and then the hippie love, and everybody was sleeping with everybody and all that stuff. That's what led to all of this. But it was those kids back then that was, revolting with the status quo, right?
Hmm.
Now, fast forward, and this has become the status quo. It's the status quo because corporate America has taken over, right? It's everywhere you see it. It's in your video games, it's in your sporting events, it's in everywhere. And
It's in
once
the
again, there is
clothing. It's in the
no
music. It's
right, and
completely
there's
surrounding
no
us.
way to opt out of it.
Hmm.
And that's the only thing that I'm saying. Like, you should be able to opt out of it. It's like, if you want to celebrate, cool. If you don't want to celebrate, cool. Like, I don't understand why we can't have varying opinions anymore. It's like, if you're not with the agenda, you're not with the message, then you're an enemy of the state. I don't
Hmm.
get that. So
And you know
go ahead,
what?
go on with the
It's
story.
fun. It goes like a little further too, because with some of the other next articles that we're going to pull up, it's becoming like that power struggle. It's a matter of control, and it doesn't matter like if it's an accident, if it's a misunderstanding, if you come across a certain way, they will persecute you on social media to the point
Mm-hmm.
where this next man we're going to hear about lost his job.
Well, no, we gotta go. We'll go to that one first. Let's go first to the Amazon one. Let's go into the meat of that one because I was gonna bring that one afterwards. Like, it's gonna get worse, and then
Mhm.
you kind of stole the thunder.
Well,
Yeah, rewind.
those are my sound
Fix it in
effects, guys.
post. Just fix it in
That's
post.
exactly
Just
how it
fix it
sounds too.
in post.
All right, so rewind. So now it's getting to the point where you can't even just have your. I don't even know how to explain it because it wasn't even like this guy. When we go into the story, we're going to see that it was a misunderstanding. But
It was a big
allegedly,
misunderstanding, but it's scary. It is
yeah.
scary what they're doing right now.
Yes. So allegedly, one of the biggest companies in the world right now that literally runs our world right now, our economy, is Amazon.
Yeah.
And Amazon is in everything. They're the ones delivering the fastest. They're bringing you like the biggest variety of products that you want. And they're just one of those household staple names now where, every time you
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, I need to find this online, let me check Amazon. And they're also being integrated within our smart devices. All of our devices
Yeah.
have these little like Hey Google and hey Siri and hey Alexa, like, and we're talking to our devices. Now we're trying to bring these devices into the home. We're bringing robots into the house, right? You have a little
Mhm.
robot roaming around your home.
I
So
know. And then when I heard this article, that freaking scared the shit. I'm like, and
exactly.
he's coming
Like
around.
we set everything on timers now. We have our laundry, our washer and dryers connect via Bluetooth to our phones, and our ovens, you can set a timer for it with your phone. Like all of our appliances are becoming so smart and so integrated, and it's supposed to be so easy for us to just at the touch of a button control all these things. But what do you do when you've been locked out of your system? And that's
Mm.
exactly what happened to this next dude.
So you gotta understand too, like where we're pushing forward, and the only piece of the puzzle that it's about to be there is digital currency, right? Right
Mhm.
now, we're pushing into this you're not most laws, if you break a law, you're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Mhm.
But we're in this weird phase right now where it's you're guilty by like society, like the social
Yes.
standard, right?
Your
Social
peers are
norms,
like,
social taboos, right? Right,
mm-mm.
exactly. Right. And so now this that's where this whole cancel culture is coming from, right? And the whole means, what's the end product, what's the end goal of being canceled, right? Cancel culture is to affect your pockets, right? To affect
Mhm.
your wallet, right? So it started with people saying, "Oh, we're gonna pull," going to the advertisers and saying, I don't want to buy your product if you're associating with da 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 da, right? And so
Mhm.
then the advertisers will go and be like, "Oh, well, we're pulling an advertisement, we're pulling our money," and so that's where it all started. And now it's going beyond that, where we're canceling individuals, we're canceling people, right? And the next step is and we see this because we saw it through in Kofifi, right? People were ratting their neighbors out. They were ratting everybody out through in Kofifi. The next step is going to be you're going to have this social score. You're going to have this social, credit score, where if you are not PC, you're not, toting the line. What are they going to do? We're already seeing, in this next article, Amazon is going to shut down your house, right? The bank might shut down your digital money, right?
Mhm.
And so now you're flipping out like, oh shit, we saw it with Kanye. Kanye lost his money,
Yep.
right? The bank was like, yeah, nah, we're not dealing with you.
And even smaller than Kanye, whenever there's like a natural disaster in your area, people who live down south who are affected by like hurricane after hurricane, when things like that happen, the banks try and limit access to your funds,
Right,
your money,
right.
and like that's cash, cash advances. You can't go into the bank, you can't pull out cash because they can't get cash because of the natural disaster. But you can already get a taste and a feel
Mm-hmm.
of that frustration, anxiety, like
Yeah.
that's oh shit feeling when you can't
Through
access your money.
During COVID, there was a gym in New Jersey that refused to lock down and follow the rules, and it was just, I think the courts just locked their funds, and they had like a hundred grand in a bank account that they couldn't even access because it was just like, nope, we took your money,
Mm.
and there was not there was they weren't found guilty of anything yet. It was just, nope, you don't want to listen, okay, we're gonna take your money.
And this is where we're headed.
Oh yeah, and now especially with this narrative of global warming, what's going to come next? Are they going to regulate? Are they going to say you're allotted this much power each month, and
Mhm.
if you go over that allotted slot, what's going to happen? Are you going to have the rest of the month, right? Let's say you went over on the 15th. The rest of the month you're going to have no power in your
Mm.
home. What happens when they start regulating food?
Right.
Oh,
Where
meat.
we have
Meat's
to,
bad for the
go,
environment.
we can only drive our cars and get gas on certain days of the week, and
Exactly.
we're gonna be
Or
right back
right,
in the 20s again.
right. Like so it's crazy that if you don't think like them, right? And this is why we gotta start pushing back. We gotta push back on this narrative. And I love hearing, the whole Bud Light and Target. I love that they're losing money, and I feel like it's a victory. It's a victory to start swinging the pendulum back on the other way.
Mhm.
Especially with these kids going to the middle school. One of the things as a kid that you're scared at middle school is what? Getting suspended, right?
Mhm.
Because you're like, what is my
Now
parents
your
gonna say?
permanent
What are you
record,
doing? All this,
man.
right? Right. And the fact that they still stood up to that. And once again, I condone any destruction. Don't go destroying things. But they could have easily put, if they wanted to have them wear rainbow stickers, they could have combated more with bringing American flag stickers, right? And putting those up and putting American flags up, right? And just show like there's a way to counter everything, right? And this is what America was funded on. We were supposed to have that discourse. We were supposed to be able to have that conversation. And as Americans, we are we have the right to have to our opinions, and we should be able to talk about it and agree to disagree. But we're not going there. And let's go into the article and let's see how they're going to control the way you think. Let you be in your own home talking to
The
yourself.
kids in Massachusetts, they are talking about like disciplinary action. But as of now, like they haven't decided what they're gonna do, what their move is gonna be.
Honestly, what they should do, the parents of those kids should sue the school and say, you know what, there should be a way to opt out of all of this. There really should be a way to opt out of it. And I'm telling you, we're not gonna see that precedent until a bunch of, I hate to say it, but it's going to be like either Christians, Muslims, or Jewish. They're going to have to come together and say, listen, this goes against our religion. And, the First Amendment, freedom of religion, this goes against our religion. And, it's a public school, right? It's taxpayers' money going to this school. You got to take this stuff out of here. This is why I keep saying, this is why I keep saying that with all the fanaticness that's coming around, it's a religion at this point, and it has to be labeled a religion. It has to be really, labeled a religion. And you know what? If it is, then you're protected by the First Amendment, right? But separation of church and state, and all these public places, all these public areas, you can't have that there. I mean, there has to be a way to opt out of it, man. There has to be.
All right, so let's pivot back over to the Amazon story. I'm going to pull it up here. So this is actually basically from the side of the man who lost access to all his stuff, the customer whose home was kind of shut down. So he shared the story. Let me go down a little. All right, so the cause, what we found was the cause was that he had a delivery on Wednesday. It was like Amazon delivery. Guy came, dropped the package. Nobody was home. And his smart camera responded, and it said
the smart doorbell. It was his smart doorbell.
Right. So
and it was the Amazon delivery guy. He was like, "Hey, I'm dropping off a package." And so the smart bells like said something, and the guy went back and he's like, "Yo, somebody said something racist to me."
So then once that Amazon delivery guy, said to his company, made the report like, "Hey, this household XYZ," Amazon's very first response was, "Hey, let's shut down his account." And it wasn't like, "Hey, let's shut down for him to not be able to receive deliveries right now," or like, like he can't make purchases right now. No, it was like, "Hey, I'm going to lock you out of your account. Haven't even started the investigation yet, but this was what they felt was the appropriate first step to the situation."
Guilty by accusation, no evidence, no nothing. It was just, "Hey, somebody accused you of being racist. We're locking you out." And I'm like, is that in the terms of service?
Right?
Like, I feel like I gotta go through the term of service. Now, I know everybody clicks on everything. Nobody ever reads that thing.
Exactly.
But is that in there?
And I'm sure it is. It probably has in there, like, hey, like reasons why you could be locked out of your account. And honestly, if it's not, I bet you it will be. So following day, he realizes like all his devices aren't responding to him. He's like, making those verbal commands and they're ignoring him. And he's like, well, what the hell? So he calls up Amazon and says, what's going on? And Amazon tells him, oh, are you unaware of why we locked you out? And he's like, no, I don't really know what's going on. And like, even the guy on the phone, like was kind of like accusing him and like completely.
Yeah, he was like condescending to him.
Yes, and was like, hey, well, you were locked out because of your racist remarks when one of our delivery drivers dropped off to you. And like, there's two sides to this argument, because there's the one side of like, hey, Amazon felt like they were taking the correct action to, protect their drivers. And I get that. You do want to protect your employees. However, this was no trial, no investigation. This was just like, hey, you're guilty. Boom.
Yeah.
No immediate consequence. Like, what is going on? So, I mean, this poor man was locked out for about a week. It turns out his camera or his doorbell only responded with like a, hey, can I
He
help
had
you?
footage. Yeah, he had video footage, and he had to send it numerous times for them to reinstate his account. And the crazy part about me, this is the big alarming takeaway of all this, is that he is like hesitant to get rid of all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, look, I'm done with you, Amazon. I know I
Right.
paid for this product. I may not buy new stuff. I may be like, look, do I really need a smart home? No. But I would stop using Amazon stuff in an instant if that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, without like without even asking me or something, like there should have been an email saying like, hey, we've opened up an investigation. We got a complaint. We're opening up an investigation on you,
Investigation. Mm-hmm.
and you are in like maybe like a limited account.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy anything else. You can't do anything, but you still can control your smart home and all that stuff, products that you paid for. And once you get all those products, isn't there a subscription you do for that too? Are you
Yeah,
paying monthly?
unfortunately, with a lot of these services, in order to once you purchase the product itself, you also need to pay this monthly subscription or annual subscription in order to use
Right.
these items. And we're seeing this more and more. You see that with the workout equipment. If you buy like a treadmill or a bike, it tells you, oh, do our workouts, buy the
Peloton, yeah,
subscription.
Peloton, they're
Yeah.
making bank by just having the subscription thing.
Yes, with the
But
the
I'm like,
cameras, like you have to pay a monthly subscription in order to be able to record footage. And there's
mhm.
companies are getting smart. They're finding out ways to get you not only with the purchase, but also to keep getting you financially.
Yeah, because I know with my droid, my little droid, there was something like if you tie into like the whole Ring ecosystem, like
Hmm.
he can record and do all that stuff, and he can do a lot more features, but that's all behind a paywall. And
Hmm.
I was like, all I have is him. I don't have the camera. I don't have cameras. I don't have the doorbell. I'm like, and mind you, the only reason why I have him is because I'm a big Star Wars nerd and I like the whole droid thing. But I'm like really anti the whole smart home thing.
Hmm.
Like I have the Google speakers that I got, for free over time. And I got two of them. And every time my power goes out, like if there's a storm comes by and the power goes out and they come back on, I hear John Legend coming on over the little speakers. By the way, your microphone's turned off. And I'm like, damn right, John Legend. I don't want you listening to me. I'm just ordinary people. I don't want you listening to me. You're over here gonna be, shutting down my account because I'm talking to myself in my own home, and you're over here being like, damn. So you know what? I'm curious though. I'm curious, like, what level are they taking this? Like, are they gonna start listening? Like, are they listening to anybody just being like, what if I'm at, what if somebody's at home
Hmm.
just ranting in their own home
Right.
and they say the wrong things? They just
And
gonna suspend
and
the
what's
account?
crazy is like there's books about this. Like 1984 predicted like, hey, like we're gonna have the thought police where even when we're in our home, we
Mm-hmm.
cannot, say and do certain things, and we have
Right.
to, follow these very stringent guidelines.
Right. So you're telling me now it's not okay. I mean, first off, newsflash, but it's still legal to be a racist. You could be a racist. I don't understand. Like that never there was no law that ever passed that said you can't be that. Now, granted, if you go out there and you're harming people, yeah, that there's a consequence the second you harm somebody, right? But to be in your own home, like I would think you're entitled to be that way. I don't want that around me, right?
Mhm.
I don't want that toxicness around me, but you're still allowed to be that. Are you not? Like I'm confused by that. Like I'm just like, so you can't be in your own home. And so this thing is listening, right? This thing is listening for keywords and it's listening to see what if somebody's listening to like what if somebody's listening to hip hop or something?
Mhm.
And there's certain keywords in hip hop. You know the word.
Yeah.
And there's certain words just ba 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 ba. Are they gonna shut down his home?
Mm.
Or
To what extent are they going to take this?
right, or is Amazon programming Alexa, right, with AI
Mm-hmm.
to listen to key dialects, right? And key uses of words to hear if a certain like ethnicity is actually using the word and they're okay to use that word. So isn't it in doing that, isn't that Amazon being racist? Like isn't that like if you're saying it's
Categorize it
okay,
like, oh, those people could do it, but
category,
they
yeah,
can't.
they can do it. Yeah. Oh, so then you know their dialect, you know how they're using it. And so you're saying that's okay. Isn't that like I don't know. To me, it's like that's a like you're doing what you're being judgmental about.
I don't know,
I
but
don't.
bringing up 1984 and the Thought Police has me like freaking out over here right now, because how many times do you like haven't thought? Like, I'm talking about, like, you haven't even like punched it into your phone yet. You haven't spoken out loud yet. You have that thought, and suddenly you're starting to see those things on your phone.
Yeah. Well,
We're there. We
but
are there.
there's literally the joke where they're saying like how each company is stressing like how they're trying to keep your stuff secured, right? Like Apple saying like, listen, it's all encrypted, it's all on your device. We don't even get to see it. Nobody
Mhm.
gets to see it. Google's trying to say their thing too. Microsoft is saying their thing, right? And then there's Facebook. And Facebook is like, we got your dreams, bitch. We
Mhm.
know what you want. Right? And so it's like in some weird way, Facebook always knows what you're thinking about, right?
Mhm.
And we talked about the new, the Apple I forgot the name of it, the goggles, new goggles that are coming around, right?
Right.
And the people who test, the tech journalists and all the people who got the insiders, right, who got to try it on and see it, they're saying that this thing has the most advanced eye tracking of any device ever, right?
Mhm.
So what if like that's I don't know. To me, we're getting to a point like you're right. They're gonna know what you're thinking,
Yeah.
and it's gonna get to the point where it's like Minority Report, where you just in the heat of anger, you
Mm.
think about something treacherous, right? But then you say, you know what? I came to my senses, right? And I'm not gonna do that. But
Mhm.
because you thought about it, bam, they arrested your ass.
You're
They're like,
guilty.
yeah, they're taking it away. No, I just thought
Yeah.
about it. I was gonna do it.
Yeah.
like you're not even safe in your own mind anymore. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know, man.
So, I mean,
I
the
don't
next dude
know.
we're going to be talking about, he was kind of just driving around, minding his own business. And, he was driving around in his work truck. Okay. So,
Hmm.
you know how everyone
Well,
feels when they're
this
in their work uniform, when you're in your work truck, you're supposed to represent your company. So, this man's just driving around, chilling. It's a warm day. He has his windows open, arms hanging out of the truck. And next thing you know, he's being put on probation.
this story actually happened back in 2020. So this was like right after when that whole summer of love that they called it, where everybody was protesting, all the BLM riots were abundance and all that. And so this guy was in his truck, and he's just out here, with his hands outside, cracking his knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was like, "Oh, he's throwing up a white supremacist sign, right?"
Yes.
And
Which, by the
once
way,
again,
it's we'll go a little more into detail. It's like the OK hand sign, which it has multiple uses. It has multiple things now, because it's not just like saying like a okay, like you're also saying like, hey, I'm representing a certain group, and you're also saying like, like our kids are doing it, where they're like, hey, look at this. If you look at it, like they punch you, like you weren't supposed to look at it. Like there's so many things that we use this for, simple hand gestures, and this poor man lost his job over it.
but mind you, he's a Mexican American,
Mm-hmm.
and so to me, it's like, and this is why, like when Biden, I think the most dangerous thing Biden has done, and trust me, he's done a lot in his administration, but the most dangerous thing he's done so far was when he came out on that big announcement where he had the red background and everything, and he said the biggest threat to America right now is white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said that. And I'm not saying, white supremacists, yeah, it's bad. It's bad whenever you think that, you are the supreme master race or whatever. But why is that bad is because anything like what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Justify it. Tell me what that is. Show me, tell me, give me the deets on that, right? And let me understand what is it that you exactly mean, because all I'm saying is that the narrative can change when you want to fit that agenda, right? And so this guy, he's a Mexican American, and it's like, okay, he's a minority.
Mm-hmm.
How can he be a white supremacist? How can he be throwing signs out? How can you fire him for that exact thing? Because now you're changing, you're moving the goalposts, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
moving the goalposts. So at some point now, Lynn and myself are considered white. Like we're considered white now,
Mm-hmm.
if it needs to fit the narrative, right? If for whatever reason it needs to fit the narrative, we will be considered white. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me that you can now change things because you want to fit that narrative.
So now with this guy, like, it could just be that he was like kind of like mess with his fingers, whatever, whatever. But they did say, like, his company said that they did conduct a good faith investigation, and that they gathered information, they did multiple interviews, and like they felt they did take the appropriate action. So like with that, I'm thinking, well, what does his Facebook look like? And like you have to be really careful with your reposts. Like just because you see something and you like how it sounds doesn't mean that you have to repost it on your page, because now you're making a statement. Now you're, those words are being put into your mouth now. It's not just like, I'm sharing this, hey, read this, hey, look at this. It's becoming, oh, this is who I am, this is what I believe
Right.
in, these are my values.
Mm-hmm.
So something that started as a misunderstanding, now you're looking into the background. Now you're seeing, hey, you party every weekend when you're off of work, and they're like, oh, well, he must be a racist.
Right, right, right. And when you need to defend yourself, right? Because now these allegations are coming at you, and you got to defend yourself. Like, I'm not that kind of person. And then they pull up your social media, and like Lynn was saying, like you were joking, and you thought it was like, oh, cool. Then it can now be used against you,
Yeah.
and it will be used against you. It will. It will. I mean, they're hands down. At this point, it's like, if you go against the narrative and if you're a free thinker, you should just delete all social media at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the internet always remembers, right? Right? The internet
Yeah.
always remembers. And so I don't know. It's crazy though. It's crazy because it's like, once again, I want to live in a world where we can have open discourse. We could talk about our differences. We can talk about why you say something is A and I say something is B, and we should have conversation as far as why we disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe by us talking, maybe you could say, the reason why you see it A is because da 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 da, and maybe the third point, I didn't even think about it, and maybe down, I'm like, oh, I didn't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And then maybe you could come have me. I'm not fully on board yet, but I'm kind of now a little more over to this side because we had that open discussion, right? Whereas if you just be hostile with things, we get back to that video of the parents fighting at the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the sheets in California, right? Just fighting because nobody could talk.
Right.
Nobody was willing to talk and nobody was willing to listen. That's the thing. Listen too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, you got to have that open discourse, open
You
conversation, and
have to
people
be
are not
able
willing
to
to do that.
do you have to be able to entertain the opposite, not the opposite thought, but a different idea, a different perspective, even if it doesn't change your perspective. That's it's a very powerful thing to be able to listen to the other person's perspective, to understand the other person's perspective. You don't
It's
necessarily
also
have to change, but understand it.
it's also a very powerful thing to be able to justify your position too.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't have an educated argument and say, why is that your stance? Well, this is my stance because of this, 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 and this. Most people don't do that. Not
Right.
nowadays. Most people, when you ask them, well, why are you on that position? They're like, Ree! Right? And they
Mm-hmm.
hit you like, oh, you're stupid for not understanding. Blah, 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 right? They're just attacking you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they'll go full scale attack on you to deflect on the fact that they don't understand why they're taking that position because it's the
Right.
talking points. They heard it somewhere. It's in their echo chamber, right? It's in their circle keeps saying the same thing over and over. These little tidbits, these talking tidbits, and that's what they're going off of. But they have no leg to stand on as far as why they believe in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because what does Lynn say all the time?
Know what you
Know what
stand
you
for.
believe in. Yeah,
Yeah.
know what you believe in, or you're a fall for anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I think I butchered it. How does it go?
Know what you stand for, or you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it. You hit it
So
right on the nail. All right, guys. Do you have anything for us? Go ahead and comment below. We always love seeing the comments, even if it's afterwards. If you're catching this after on the replay, we still appreciate the comments, and we'll bring it up in the next show. You know, we'll talk about it if it's something that's like, "Ooh, this person made an excellent point." You know, we're looking
mhm.
for the discourse. We're looking for somebody who has a different perspective and can add to the conversation.
We have another article, or we're all set.
No, those are the 3 points we wanted to
That
make
was
today.
it. That was it.
Yeah.
All right. So yo, shout out to those kids, man. That's mad motivating that they're and once again, I know there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, how can you condone that? That's messed up. It's pride, and but you gotta understand, our country was founded on people who were rebellious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who went against the status quo. That's what America was founded on.
Yeah.
And America kept, if you want to follow history to a T, America kept rebelling against the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a shout out to those kids who see something and they're like, "No, I don't want to do this." And they actually took it, not just had it in their heart to say, "Hey, I don't want to do this," but actually took action on it.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they did some stuff that they were kids. They did some stuff that was stupid, and I don't condone that. But I like the fact that they did take action.
Yeah,
They
they
wanted to be
know what they
heard.
stand for, and they're willing to voice that, and they're willing to embrace that freedom of speech.
Hmm.
And they'll, they're young, but they're learning, and they're going to be
Yeah,
our future leaders. They're going to be the future
and
of whatever movements we have in the future. Like,
right,
this is
and
where it
that
starts.
moments like that, it gives me hope. It gives me a lot of hope. This whole like Budweiser um, boycott, Target boycott. Those kids in the school. Even I mean, I had hope back when Kofifi was going on, and
Mhm.
just people I thought it was going to be a low number, but it was a lot bigger as far as the people who was like, "No, I'm not taking that back.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it." And they were like, "You can do whatever you want to do." Especially when Biden came out and said it's mandated, you gotta take it,
Mhm.
right? And he's gonna use whatever powers he can use to enforce it. And people were like, "Nah, I'm gonna do me. There's nothing you can say or do." They were going to door. I've seen videos where they were going door to door, and in like urban neighborhoods. Fauci was doing this door to door, trying to convince people to get the facts because urban communities were hesitant to take it, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they were going door to door, and they were just standing with their conviction. They're like, "No, I'll wait." Oh, but you could die, and that's the thing. Oh, you could die. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, it's a risk. You're gonna kill grandma. All right, we'll see. And they still by the conviction. And more, we're starting to see that more as far as like, and it's like it's boiling. It's boiling right now, and it's getting to a point. And like, I hope we can have discourse because once again, I don't want to get it. I don't want it to get to a point where we're in this massive conflict, right? But we are. I do feel like history is going to remember this time as the culture wars.
Mhm.
Like they're going to say, America was in a second civil war, and it was a massive culture wars that lasted for decades. Because that's what we're in right now, right? And history is going to remember that, and I hope that history remembers the ones who pushed back against all this, who said, no, I understand what you're trying to do as far as equality and all this, but we still got to be able to have opinions.
Mhm.
We can't have thought police because if we're not the ones who are victorious, we're going to get to a point where we're all in the dark age thanks to Amazon, I, I don't know, man. It's scary times, but I have hope. I have hope. We'll see.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. For those of you who always come back again, we appreciate you so much. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Have an awesome weekend.
Peace.
Weird, it's Wednesday, so happy hump day.
Listen, yeah.
Hump day.
If you ain't got weekend plans by now, go and make them. Go enjoy your weekend. You've earned it. Love you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Weekends are awesome.
They are awesome, but they go by too damn quick.
Yeah, that's why you need to do things. You can't just sit home all weekend. Definitely go out and do something.
We
guys.
need to change the work schedule. 3 days off, 4 days working. Let's make it happen.
Yes. And no more daylight savings also. Let's throw that one in there.